Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Today's Wednesday, March the 20th. I hereby call the Property and Planning Subcommittee to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Representative Barton? Here. Representative Raper? Representative Reedy? Here. Representative Rudd?
Here.
Representative Thompson?
Here.
Representative Wright?
Here.
Chairman Crawford?
Present.
Chairman Carr?
Here.
Chairman Carr, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any personal orders this morning before we get started? As we said, we will be taking up the Veterans Calendar today. And we had one that was on our regular calendar today, and I would entertain a motion to move it over to the motion and second on the House Bill 1813 to move that over to the Veterans Calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Okay, we moved that one over from our regular calendar, and we come up to our first item on the calendar for the veterans is House Bill 1715 by Representative Freeman. And we've already spoke to some of these people, and we know that we've got a budget crisis on some of this, so we're going to take this over and have it studied this summer as to what we can do in the budget. I would entertain a motion to take House Bill 1715 to summer study.
So moved.
Moved and second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1715 is moved to summer study. Item number 2, House Bill 2217 by Chairman Crawford. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These three bills we have on the Veterans Calendar, they all do kind of the same thing, heading for the same goal. And if we sent the other to summer study, I think it would be appropriate to take my bill and study it all together and come back maybe next year with one good bill. So.
Chairman Crawford, my motion to move his into summer study. I second from Representative Wright. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 2217 moves to summer study. House Bill 1813 by Chairman Reedy. Chairman Reedy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. And likewise, it was a few weeks ago, we had a similar bill that I presented and took it off notice. And certainly what I'm looking at, committee members, is the fiscal note, and the summary of the bill extends eligibility for property tax relief to veterans with a permanent and total service connected disability due to individual unemployability. And of course, it increases state expenditures up to basically $10.5 million the first year, and then it goes 11.6 in subsequent years. And of course, we've got the summer study going on, and hopefully that will take place, but we keep basically kicking the can down the road on our veterans, and hopefully we can come to a stopping point. So at this time, Mr. Chairman, just take this bill off notice.
Without objection, off notice. Okay, we'll pick it up on the summer study too, because we'll be getting all of those. All right, we move over to the main calendar today on property and planning. House Bill number 1. Item number 1, House Bill 2868 has been rolled 1 week. Item number 2, House Bill 2439 by Representative Sparks. Representative Sparks, you are recognized. Motion. We've got a motion properly second. You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members. Members, last year when we had the task force study, and I appreciate y'all helping with that and passing it, several discussions was part of that study, and some of the ideas or recommendations that came out of the task study was authorizing the idea of land banks. And what my legislation would do is authorize local governments to be able to create land banks. And as you all know, we're at a crisis when it comes to workforce housing, affordable housing in our state. What I think I want to do with this piece of legislation, it needs some more work, and I'd really want to try to do a serious summer study with TML, maybe CTAS, Representative Vital and Representative Rudd and the chairman, to just see what else we can do around affordable housing with our teachers, firefighters, police. It's really reached a critical issue in Rutherford County and surrounding counties here. And like to just engage a conversation. And one of my favorite scriptures is it's Proverbs, where it says there's wisdom in the multitude of counselors. So just to try to bring some wise folks to the table and really want y'all's feedback when we end session to see what month, who else needs to be involved in a serious summer study and what other organizations. So with that being said, we'll take the bill off notice, sir.
Thank you, Representative Sparks, and I do appreciate that because we're working with some other land banks, and we do need to address this issue without notice, off notice.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Item number 3, House Bill 2719 by Representative Garrett has been taken off notice. Brings us to item number 4, House Bill 2244 by Chairman Farmer. Chairman Farmer, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Committee. Members, if we could, I've got House Amendment 015328 that makes the bill.
Got a motion, second on the amendment is 015328. You'd like for us to place that on the bill so we be in proper
Yeah, if we
order, is that
could,
correct?
it rewrites the bill, makes the bill.
All those in favor of House Amendment 15328 going on the bill, say aye. Opposed, no. We're back on the bill as amended, sir. You're recognized.
Thank
Chairman
you,
Farmer.
members. Mr. Chair, over the summer, I met with some folks came in and met with me in my office in Sevierville and had an idea that they would like to pursue with regards to developing a sports facility complex in the city of Sevierville off of Highway 666 coming in across from the Knife Works. If y'all have ever been there, there's a river there and there's a big vacant piece of property there for years there. And wanted to know if we would be able to help them make some adjustments with regards to our TDZ, our Tourist Development Zone there in the city of Sevierville. So what this would do would allow for the city to vote to adjust their 5%, was it variance or
Hospitality.
fee there with that. So give them some flexibility to move forward with this project. It's expected to have about a $500 million initial capital investment and have a bunch of youth sports fields and full service hotels. And it's a pretty big idea that they have moving forward. So, but it would allow ultimately for the locals to make that decision, but we need to allow them the opportunity to do so. So that's what I'm asking for, committee and Mr. Chair. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Representative Thompson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just so I understand, does this affect only your county or is it statewide?
You're recognized.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Representative Thompson. It would just affect the city of Sevierville with regards to their tourist development zone. So it would just affect, this would be effective in regarding the city of Sevierville.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take just a moment and thank Representative Farmer, Chairman Farmer, for bringing this. I've been involved with this conversation for a couple of years now, and what they're wanting to do, I've seen the site plans, is absolutely amazing, and the revenue that's going to generate not only for Sevier County but for the state of Tennessee is just going to be absolutely wonderful. So thank you for taking your time to work on this, and anything we can do to have these type organizations and things move into our community, it just makes us all better. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Crawford.
Thank you, Chairman. Follow up, Chairman.
No.
Representative Martin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Farmer, I've got two questions. I'm looking at the bill here, and I'm not seeing where it just says Sevier County or Sevierville. What am I missing? I mean, to Representative Thompson's question about, is this for apply across the state or not?
Mr. Chair.
Chair, you're recognized.
And I believe that answer would lie with regards to the tourist development zone. There's only certain municipalities within the state that have TDZs, as they call it.
Okay.
So I think that would answer your question there.
Representative.
So if there was another TDZ in another part of the state, this could be applicable to that other TDZ. Is that correct?
If you give me, Mr. Chair, just one moment for me.
Chairman Farmer, we're going to go out of session right here and have a legal component on that. We are out of session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Hughes from Legal Services. So the bill itself does not have a specific limitation to just Sevier County, but it is limited in the description of the project that is being proposed. So the chances of being able to be used in other places would be small, I would think.
Chairman Farmer, a question to the, okay. Representative Martin,
I have a question for
we are back in session. Representative Martin, you're recognized.
Chairman Farmer. Help me understand, what is this tax? Is this money that is just local taxes? This doesn't affect any of the sales tax that would be coming into the state, just to what would be coming into the locals? Is that correct?
Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, and thank you. These are great questions that you have. And just to go back to your first question, let me answer that. With regards to anyone else that had a TDZ in the state, they would have to first seek local approval to do this. They would have to have that $500 million capital investment to do this. It would have to be for the mixed use sports fields, and they'd have to have the hotels. So all those parameters would have to happen, right? So if somebody want to do that had a TDZ, want to make the same investment in the same sort of property somewhere else, they could do it. So on your question number 2 was, you asked with regards to how are these taxes allocated? Well, in these tourist development zones, the locals are able to keep up to a 5% surcharge to use locally. So out of this 5%, that money always stays local. And it's my understanding that money always stays local. There are certain monies that go to the state, but the locals are able to use are able to charge up to a 5% surcharge to use locally. So this would come from local monies that would go directly to, as I understand it, the city of Sevierville. So they would just choose to take less of that 5% and then maybe adjust things for maybe the hotels that they're developing or some ball fields. And as I understand it, the city of Sevierville's TDZ runs out. Will be paid off as of 2034. So this should last about 11 or 12 years, and then it'll just end.
Representative Martin?
Good.
Thank you. And thank you, Chairman Farmer, for bringing this bill. And I do want to make this one point clear. And as you said, that runs out, and it has to be in all those parameters. And we talked about it. And the fact, too, that it does have to go back to City Council for a vote of 2 different times on the ordinance. Any further questions to the sponsor? Seeing them, we're ready to vote. All those, and let me get back here. You can tell it's the end of session about. We're moving around too much. All those in favor of House Bill 2244 moving on to full committee, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Bill moves on to full committee. Thank you, Chairman Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Committee.
House Bill, next one, number 5, House Bill 1335 by Chairman White is off notice. House Bill number 6, 2054. I'm sorry. Item number 6, House Bill 2054 by Representative Eldridge. You are recognized. I thought I see. Motion and a second. You have it there, sir. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. We do have, I believe, an amendment.
Yes,
to
sir. What is your drafting code, please, sir?
that. Tracking code is 014703.
Okay. I got a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of placing Amendment 14703 on the bill, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. You're back on the bill as amended, sir. You're all recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. In 1984, the Greenbelt was amended to establish a 1,500 acre cap on property owners. At the time, there was very few farms that were over 1,500, but as times have changed, more and more farms are growing to spread out their especially with row crops. They require more land to be a little bit more efficient in operations. So here, almost 40 years after that, there's several farms that have grown past that cap, and they need to be able to continue the green belt on, and we're asking for the cap to be raised to 3,000 acres.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions to the sponsor? Representative Thompson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious, your original bill had a max of 5,000 acres and this is 3,000. Was there somebody or people were uncomfortable with the higher amount?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. In answer to that, I'm sure there were probably some that were, thought the 5,000 cap might be a little bit much for right now. So they negotiated the cap at 3,000 acres.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further questions to the sponsor? Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to get this on the record because I've had a couple of my constituents that's asked me. This will have no effect whatsoever on making people eligible or ineligible for the Greenbelt program.
You're recognized.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions to the sponsor before we vote? All those in favor of House Bill 2054, moving on to full committee, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Chairman and
Thank you,
committee.
sir. Item number 7, House Bill 2437 is roll 1 week. Everybody's trying to get their bill in correct posture. Roll 1 week. Item number 8, House Bill 2467 has been roll 1 week. Roll item number 9, House Bill 1850 by Chairman Reedy. Chairman Reedy, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman Carr, and your auctioneer voice, maybe you need to take a swig of that water. Just pause for a moment. Mr. Chairman, there is an amendment that rewrites the bill. That amendment number is 16268.
Excuse me just a second there, Chairman Reedy. I have a different amendment. Is it 17022, the last one you wrote?
No, we don't want to go with that one. We do want to go with 16268.
Okay, we move. Okay. All those in favor of Amendment 16268, say aye. All those in favor of House Amendment 1, by Reedy, Amendment 16268, say aye. All those opposed, no.
Parliamentary inquiry.
You're recognized.
Chairman, how would I know what that amendment is if I'm not seeing it on my dashboard?
I think that is the problem, is if it's not on the dashboard. Let's brief recess, call the chair. See if we can find it on the dashboard.
See, I'm not.
We are back in session. Representative Reedy, you are recognized on Amendment 16268. If you'll give us a brief explanation of that amendment, please, before we vote.
Well, the summary of that, and of course, we had some moving parts like everybody else's bill here getting to the end of the session. And I'll read for the record: prohibits local governments from adopting and enforcing regulations to prohibit gardening and raising limited numbers of chickens or rabbits at a single-family residence. It authorizes, and here's where the change is, authorizes local governments to impose reasonable regulations on such activities, and it exempts a condominium association, co-op, homeowners association, or other entity organized by restrictive covenants and governing documents.
Motion. We got a motion, a second on the amendment. All those in favor of putting 16268 on the full bill, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Back on the bill, and as amended, does that make the bill, Representative Reedy?
Yes, sir. And to explain the situation, what we're finding out and through the discussion this whole session is loss of agricultural land. But as a boy growing up, participating in 4-H and FFA, it's our backyard. We had chickens and rabbits. Now, I get it. If you got a rooster, somebody needs to stick him in the pot and be done with him because the neighbors won't acquiesce to that. But what we're seeing, a lot of what's going on in our country, Mr. Chairman and committee members, farming and gardening channels and movies. I guess I'm a kind of a junkie for that, being a farmer myself, seeing what's new out there. But also a lot of these folks that are doing this in many states as well as Tennessee, your local governments are saying, no, you can no longer do that, with your little chicken tractor and a half dozen chickens or just a couple because you want fresh eggs. And so we find ourselves in that. And then the biggest support I've gotten has been out of Murfreesboro. Folks, I don't know what the local politics there is, but it's a lot of the our military men and women with PTSD. They become veteran farmers, and so that was a couple of emails from a couple of folks in Murfreesboro said, "Hey, we like your bill, and we should be allowed to do so." Mr. Chairman, I prepared for questions.
Thank you, Chairman Reedy. Any questions to the sponsor? I had Representative Thompson on the list first. Representative Thompson, you are recognized, and I'll follow up with him.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, first of all, I'm city born and raised in Memphis and everything. I have had gardens, I have had roosters, I've had rabbits. And so I appreciate that because, I'm going back to my agrarian roots, just one generation back. But I do know that the city does have some rules of ordinances against roosters, for instance. But as I understand this, the amendment you're not adding would take all the animal stuff out and concentrate on gardens. But this still is saying that my city can't say no roosters and all. The things there, and I'm just wondering, is there a particular reason you absolutely have to have livestock included in here?
Chairman Reedy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative, and with that, there is authorization for those local governments to put restrictions on the numbers on not having a rooster. So they still have authority to regulate that. They just cannot prohibit it.
Representative Thompson, follow up.
Okay, so they can restrict
Yes, sir.
animals that might be a pest or
Such as peacocks. Yes.
or wake us all up at earlier than city folks want to get up, things like that, right?
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. Next on my list is Representative Martin.
I just want to be clear about a couple things, Chairman Reedy. First of all, with the amendment, the HOAs, et cetera, are going to have more regulatory authority of prohibitions in the city. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. And the second question that I have is, can cities or counties put a minimum amount of space between neighbors? For example, if I live on an area that's only 50 feet wide, I've got a small house there, and you live in a 50-foot space, can they say, well, you got to have at least 100 yards or 100 feet or something like that between? Can they prohibit it in that sense?
Chairman Reedy?
That's a good question. And it's, of course, it's not in the bill. It's just stating the backyard or a side yard. And it is just to single family residents. So that would be a good question on what property size would the restrictions be? And I don't have an answer for that.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with the bill, but I do have with the concept. But I do have a problem that if I'm living in an area that's only got a 50-foot width and my neighbor's got 6 chickens and 6 rabbits, well, I'm going to be smelling them. I'm going to be seeing them. I'm going to be dealing with them because I live that close. Now, it'd be different if I lived in a bigger space. And so that's my concern with this. And I don't know if there's an amendment or if we can address that and roll it while we're rolling these other ones. I mean, I'm just trying to understand that concern, trying to make that concern known. Fair enough?
Chairman Reed?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm reading from the bill, a requirement for fencing or shelter sufficient to contain chickens or rabbits on the owner's property. Minimum requirements for combined housing and outdoor space of at least 20 square feet per chicken and 9 per square feet per rabbit. A requirement to address sanitary conditions in a manner that prevents accumulation of animal waste in a quantity sufficient to create an offensive odor or the attraction of pests. So in other words, it's in the bill addressing that, and then that's the control of the local government could put those parameters in place. And what I had just stated, a requirement that the chickens or rabbits may only be kept in the side or rear yard of a residence. And I don't know if that.
Representative Martin?
So if it's got to be 20 square feet per chicken, and I've only got 50, that means I can only have 2.5 chickens.
There you go.
I've never seen it. I've never seen a half a chicken alive.
Because I ate the other half.
And I guess my next question is this: how would this be enforced? Just take a small city. Probably not. They probably don't have a chicken enforcer. And are we not putting on them a government mandate that, okay, you can have this and you can create these rules, but now you're going to have to go hire someone to enforce it? That's my question about that.
Thank you. Any more comments? Chairman Crawford, you recognize? Thank you. Any other questions to the sponsor? Seeing none, I guess we're ready to vote on House Bill 1850. Moving on to full committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Bill moves on to full committee. Thank you, thank you, Chairman and Reedy, for that. House Bill 1850. Item number 10 was moved to the Veterans Calendar. It comes to item number 11, House Bill 2850 by Representative Hill. Is roll 1 week. Item number 12, House Bill 2423 is roll 1 week. Item number 13, House Bill 2215 by Representative Parkinson. You are recognized.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, committee.
Do you have an amendment on that there, sir?
Yes, sir. I actually have 2 amendments that I need to get on there, if that's okay.
Okay. What's the amendment number that you have? Your first one, please.
015441.
Okay, that one's on the dashboard, ladies and gentlemen. All those in favor of, would you like for us to vote on that and does that make the bill?
Well, both of them really need to, if we can, need to be rolled into one once we add them. If
I
that's
got
okay.
you. Okay, all those in favor of Amendment Code 15441? Hang on a minute, Parkinson.
Yes, sir.
You filed that new one, so we went with the new one, not knowing that you were going to be bringing that other one too?
I don't remember which one I did first. I believe the 15441 was done first.
And then
it rewrote the bill. And then this second one is the one that I got from TDOT to exclude state agencies. They wanted to be excluded from this.
Okay, all those in favor of the second? Okay, we have a motion and second on the drafting code 15441. Will you explain what it does for us, please, right now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we've had problems with people literally stealing people's property by bringing fake quit claims into to the Register of Deeds office and registering someone's property. It's the most heartbreaking thing you'll ever see. I had an 82-year-old constituent whose property was being attempted to be stolen, and thank God I happened to know her daughter, who called me while this whole thing was going on, and we were able to stop it then. But what happens is someone would get with a notary and just literally write their information on a quit claim, take it into the Register of Deeds, file it, and that property is gone. By the time an individual finds out that their property has been stolen, the property may have been transferred 3 or 4 times, and it's hard and very expensive for them to start the process of trying to reclaim that property. And it's the worst thing because it's happening to a lot of our seniors. And people will look on the obituaries and see who died and literally create quick claims based on these individuals passing, and no one will know for years. And that's why we bring this legislation. So what this does is it requires the Register of Deeds only in Shelby and Davidson to get an ID from an individual filing a quick claim.
If I may take a personal privilege as chair, these two amendments don't really make the bill, according to the attorney. With your permission, let's roll this 1 week,
No problem at all.
and you get with the attorneys and get this all in one bill, and let's bring this back in the proper form, because we spoke with your office this morning,
Yes,
and we
sir.
didn't think you were going to be running 15441.
Yes, sir. My assistant Vanessa told me this morning. She said, "Well, I accidentally told them this was the one we were rolling with." She told me that this morning.
Okay,
So, but I'm happy.
Without objection, we're going to roll that 1 week.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir. Okay. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
We want it in proper form is
Right.
what we want.
Snitches get stitches. Don't tell.
Item number 14, House Bill 1229 by Representative Hemmer. Representative Hemmer, you are recognized. And I see, sir, that you do have a drafting code also.
Yes, sir. 015287, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you want that placed on the bill to make the bill?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor of Amendment Code 15287, say aye. Opposed, no. We're back on the bill as amended. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, excited to bring this bill to you to look at. Been really interested in kind of the housing issues since reading Tasser did a really in-depth study this past year and talked about the shortage of housing units. In 2019, Tennessee was 22,000. 2020, it doubled to 56,000. And this past year, the Affordable Housing Coalition did an update and showed that we're almost 130,000 units. I know it's a really interesting problem because it affects so much of our communities, both rural all the way to urban areas like Nashville. So this legislation, all it does is just put another tool in the toolbox for local governments looking to create and preserve attainable housing across Tennessee. If you're building a house, you need a variety of tools, hammers, saws, screwdrivers, and pliers, but local governments are trying to encourage the private sector to create and preserve attainable housing in our communities. So one of the most effective tools is providing credit support for public-private partnerships. And right now, local governments in Tennessee can't use that tool. So this legislation will fix that. Specifically, the amendment we put on the bill designates affordable housing as a public purpose and allows local governments to provide credit support for bonds issued by the IDBs, then use those proceeds to support private sector in preserving attainable workforce housing. State law already allows these local governments to do these kind of tools for economic development projects. So this just allows attainable housing to the list of things that local governments can use. It's great this legislation is permissive, not directive, so it allows local governments to address these housing challenges in their own communities for what they feel like they need, and leaves them to figure that out on their own, because what's appropriate for Gatlinburg may not be appropriate and needed for Nashville. So local governments would choose this tool and need to approve any deals in their communities. The IDBs could not do that on their own. Additionally, the benefit allowing these local financial institutions would get Community Reinvestment Act's credits for these projects and goodwill by financing these much needed community development projects. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to take any question, and just wanted to say thank you to the TML, Comptroller's Office, Bankers Association, and others that have looked at this bill and helped provide needed advice on it.
Thank you, Representative Hemmer. And I everybody noticed my name on there, and we have worked on this. And actually, it's another tool in the toolbox that, especially of getting some lower interest rates and stuff for people that might have need to do some more housing on that. So you took your 5 minutes pretty much there. You had a lot of long explanations, just trying to get it nailed down a little bit. We do have a few questions. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is not for the sponsor of the bill, but would be to the chairman. We passed your bill not too long back, and to me, it looks like they're kind of doing the same thing. Can you tell me the difference in your bill and this bill we're voting on?
Yes, Chairman. I mean, which bill were you talking about? We have not passed that bill yet. That is coming up in full. And what that bill would do is if you put in the infrastructure as a developer and and then you got that infrastructure in, if the city wanted to take on that time or the IBD wanted to take on and make bonds for that, pay the developer back, and then that takes care of the infrastructure, and that would give him a little more money to build the housing. And then at the end of the time, each lot then would have an additional charge to it to pay that bond back. Now, this bill here is just for getting money from a regular institution as far as bank, credit loan or whatever, that there. Mine would be a little bit different in the fact that it's using the bonds of the IBD board. Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. So these actually kind of complement each other, is what you're saying in long form?
Yes, sir, they do complement each other, and I did speak with TML myself on this, and not only would it help Nashville, but this would help other cities along the way too, and that's one reason that I thought this bill, along with the bill that's coming up in your full, if we do them, they will be very complementary to each other. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor of House Bill 1229 moving on to full committee, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Chairman, members of
Thank
the
you.
committee. Greatly appreciate it.
Were you trying to be as fast talker as I was on the auctioneer on that?
Never talk as fast as an auctioneer.
Thank you. I have passed the gavel over to Chairman Crawford as the next one is my bill. You're recognized, Chairman Crawford.
Motion on the bill. Second. Next, on today's agenda, we have item 15, House Bill 2624 by Chairman Carr. I do see it has an amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's 16386.
That is correct. Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, please.
All those in favor of putting amendment number 16386 onto House Bill 2624, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill was brought to us by the Tennessee Association of Property Tax Professionals, and these are composed of the trustees, city tax collectors, court clerks, delinquent tax attorneys, state personnel, and others. And this association was formed years ago at the request of the comptroller to clean up and modernize all the delinquent tax processes. And that's exactly what this bill is doing. Now, what the amendment does, it took care of a little concern that the HOAs had, and also, and we were talking about land banks a few minutes ago, it took care of a concern that Memphis had with their land bank. That's all that this amendment does at that. But this bill it's part of a multi-year effort that we've been trying to do this. It incorporates recent cases and laws and everything. We brought that into play with the law. It cures some constitutional defects that was in the Neighborhood Preservation Act. It improves ability to convey blighted property and parcels, as we've already done in some other things. It clarifies redemption status. It improves ability to collect delinquent property taxes. It streamlines collection of tax adjustments, and clarifies first priority status of property tax liens, among other things. And with that, I would stand for approval of this because it is a nice, good cleanup bill. And I'll be standing for any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2624. Moving on to local government full. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to local government full.
Thank you, Chairman. Would you just go ahead and dismiss us, Chairman? I'll let you have the gavel.
Thank you, sir. Before we close, all bills that were rolled for 1 week will be on next week's calendar. We're going to try to close next week. So just for your knowledge, if you want to come back next week, that'd be great. Does any of the members have any announcements or personal orders? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
we are adjourned.
Thank you, Chairman.